The lift. What is the lift? My wife works as a park ranger at a state park. It's a job that keeps her busy, but she loves what she does. That we don't live far from the state park means that it's not a long commute to work for her. And I can work anywhere. Plus, I'm just as much a fan of the state parks as she. So it wouldn't be upcoming for us to explore the park in the times we have off. Because she was the newest ranger, she often got the crap duty. Basically the new coming hazing that everybody goes through. For now, it's answering calls, dealing with vandals, and telling people that they can't go naked in the woods. The jobs that the senior rangers give to the juniors in order to get them used to the job. And yes, passing the buck from the time that they were probationary and had to do the same silly jobs. But it wasn't horrible to deal with. And probation never lasts long if you're a team player about things. That was when things took a very strange turn. One day, she came home covered in stains, torn clothing, and had a heck of a story to share with me. After a week of responding to just emails, she was tasked with another bottom-rung job. One that, if there wasn't a new person, would be assigned based on a lottery. See, she had to enter the lower levels of what's called the lift. It was a subsection that connects the park's sewage system. It wasn't vast, but it did cover a good portion of the park, at least the entrances and camping grounds. Once or twice a week, someone had to go down there and make sure there wasn't a stray animal that wandered in to make note of any potential damage to the pipes. They were old and very prone to leaking. It was probably the worst task on the job. But after that, they left whoever does it to go home early. Especially because usually the smell sticks in the park showers aren't the best. To get down to the sewage system, she had to take an old elevator that was in a formerly active mine. The mine used to be full of silver before the vein went dry in the 1800s. Some sections were still used to hold tours because the structure was stable, but most of the cafe was locked away, deemed too dangerous for a casual walkthrough. The lift was old, but well taken care of. So even if it made loud noises of metal grinding on metal, it still did the job and got her down to the sewage system. Another reason to check was because due to the fact that the sewage system was both connected to the river and the mines, things surfaced all the time. Sometimes it was a fish that hopped out of the water. Other times it was a dead stray animal like a coyote or a squirrel. Her senior park rangers liked to mess with her and say that one time a bear had made it their home for the winter and they had to tranquilize it. Getting off the lift, she could almost believe a bear could make it its home. The place was huge, with a high rock ceiling. The sounds of water dripping from above echoed through the natural space. She probably could have done without the smell of sewage though. The sewers were open piped, and luckily for her, it was a quick job to check them, making sure there wasn't anything clogging them, and that the pressure of the pipes went into the ground wasn't too high. Either way, the job was fast, and she didn't need to get a stick and try to pull a dead animal out of the pipes. So that was a win for her. When she headed back to the lift to get out of the area, that was when she heard it. Groaning. Groaning that was mixed with gurgling. It was enough to grab her attention and not get onto the lift and leave. She was going to do her job and do it right so she wouldn't have to come back and do it again. Called out into the distance and asked if anyone was okay, because the groaning sounded human, and if she left someone down there and they were injured, she would feel so horrible about it. She got her flashlight and went deeper into the cavern. At this point, she admitted later that she should have radioed back what she heard, gotten someone to come down and look with her, especially as she was going deeper into the mine and got horribly lost. The sounds of water dripping and groaning in the distance led her astray, and soon it was too late for her to radio, being way out of range to get a signal. She was fortunate that she carried a pistol, a move that was recently allowed for rangers to be able to carry. It's probably what saved her life, she reflected on later. So she was lost in the mines, and while not panicked, she was getting worried about all the turns and was wondering how whoever got lost so far down there, when most of these areas were off limits. Soon she came to a clearing full of natural quartz deposits. There was even a small stream that traveled across the room, bringing in light that bounced off the crystals. Not enough to fully light the room, but enough to keep the room from being in complete darkness. She called out for the voice, asking if they needed help, and something from the shadows stuff up. Couldn't see it clearly, but the groaning was back and it sounded like someone was drowning at the same time. The shadow suddenly rushed her, and she dived to the side, scratching her palms pretty badly. She looked and saw what she was looking for, and it wasn't human. Like if someone took a human and mixed it with an insect and had it melted like wax. There was a smell like burning mushrooms in the air, and it made her gag for air. It groaned as it reached out with misshapen hands at her, and so she ran, freaking out as it chased her through the darkness of the mine. She reflected that she didn't know how long she ran or even where she was going. She just had to get away as the creature chased her with unnatural speed. Luckily though, it was clumsy and tripped a lot, even if it was quick to get back up. Making it to the room while stumbling into the room with a lift caught her by surprise. It was a happy one. That was quickly displaced by the sounds growing louder behind her. She went to the lift and was dismayed that it had gone up while she was lost in the mine. So she called it down, and the loud sound of machinery groaning into action blocked the sounds of the creature chasing her. Having a quick idea, she climbed up one of the pipes and extended to the ceiling and wedged herself against a wall. The creature soon came into the room and groaned and garbled around as it looked for her. It didn't seem that smart, so it didn't look up where it would have noticed her. Finally, it turned around and entered the mine tunnel again, just in time for the lift elevator to finish arriving, opening the cage that functions as a door. Carefully, she dropped down and ran for the door, pressing the button as fast as she could. The sound of her landing and the door slowly closing brought the creature right back into the room where it noticed her. Once it did, it ran towards her, louder than ever with its wet sounds. She had no choice. It was going to make it to her before the door closed, so she pulled out a pistol and shot it, emptied a whole clip and made it bleed puke green and fall to its back, just as the elevator cage door closed and the lift started raising her out of the sewage system. She told her superiors what happened, and yes, they didn't believe her, thinking she was playing a counter prank for the shit work. But she told them to go down there and look. The body is still down there. They did so and came back saying, no, there wasn't any creature, but there had been a natural gas leak. So it would explain why she had imagined the whole thing, having been affected by the gas. She was sent home early, and the lift was shut down until they could get a repair crew out there to seal the leak. But my wife told me the whole story and I believed her. So a few days later, we both sneaked back down there, gas masks on, in case it was a leak, and my wife was just having vivid hallucinations. And taking the lift, when we got there, we saw it. There was a trail of dried puke green fluids that led from the spot where my wife shot the creature back into the tunnels.